I forgot almost.
Cool. All
All
right.
right. Awesome.
I'll go.
Hello everyone.
I'll
Yeah.
go.
We are doing the introductory call, the design exploration call for Dana Wallet. Signet and Sostin have come up with this idea for a silent payments exclusive wallet based on donations, I think. So we are pretty excited about that, and we would really like to know more about what you guys are thinking about it and how you guys are thinking about building the wallet itself. And on top of that, how can the Bitcoin design community help you guys achieve the vision that you guys have for the wallet? So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, I think a good start is probably to introduce ourselves.
Yeah.
So I'll start with that. So Sostin and I, are both. We have been interested in sign-up payments for a little while now. No videos, no.
Okay. Yeah. Go on. Yeah.
Yeah, we've been interested in sign-up payments for I think a little over a year now. For me specifically, I really disliked address reuse. I know that a lot of it's a very common thing within the Bitcoin community to it's a very easy thing to just have your address and paste it everywhere. As a It's also how a lot of like newbies, the first time that they download a wallet, that's what they do. It's like kind of the most obvious thing, but in practice, it's actually or in if you're more experienced, that's something you shouldn't do. But yeah, it's just the default thing that most people do. So yeah, silent payments came along as one of the ways to as a solution for this address reuse problem. So that's why I've been interested in it for a while now. So Steen has also been interested in like reusable these sorts of things like paynims as well. So we kind of met each other like a year ago, and we have been working on all kinds of things within the sign-up payment sphere. So we wrote our own like library that you can use, and yeah, it's a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that we wrote was we wanted to have like a kind of simple a design or a simple tool to show how people could scan for sign-up payments on their mobile phone. So initially, that was just like I don't know, like a very simple proof of concept. But as we kind of developed it more and more, we slowly started to consider the idea of turning that into, a uh, proper wallet. So yeah, that is the state that we are in right now. We're both kind of like backend developers. We're both very more programmers, I guess. But we now want to kind of undertake this project, which has a lot of like a different domain of problems, which is like interfacing with people that actually want to use it. So yeah, that's why we wanted to contact the Bitcoin design community. I'll give a quick overview of Dana Wallet. So the main goal of what we want to do is we kind of wanted this to be sort of a flagship, like a way that you could show people. It was sort of an example of how sign-up payments could be used. And sign-up payments are a thing that we personally think is very good for the donation use case. That's why initially it was called Donation Wallet. We kind of switched the name to Dana because Dana has it's a Buddhist term or a Hindu term, which also means like generosity. So it's sort of still in line with that the idea of like the goal of Dana Wallet is to be for this like donation use case.
Yeah,
And
if I remember well, that's in Buddhism. I'm not quite sure it's in what language exactly, but it seems that it's a concept in Buddhism. So probably I don't even know how to say that in English. Sanskrit. Anyway, that old Indian language, probably.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean, now that you say it that way, I realize, yeah, it does make sense in that way too. Like, it's a Sanskrit word
Hmm.
for donation, and so I did not even think about it. I think that's pretty cool, honestly. It's a cool
Yeah.
name.
Yeah, and even if you don't know the name, the Dana is just a good, short name. So that's why we switched to it. So yeah, the main goal of the wallet is to be very. We kind of want it to be a very simple, straightforward wallet. So our target audience is kind of people that want to. They don't necessarily even know anything about Bitcoin. They just want to receive donations, which is what, what I was always annoyed by people that would put these sort of, have their on-chain address in their YouTube in their description. They list all those they just list like those addresses for all kinds of like cryptocurrencies, and I just want to target that audience, like people that just want to have an address that they can use to expect payments from. So that also means that because we're sort of targeting like these very uh, new users, we don't want to necessarily be we don't focus on sophisticated users. So we don't try to have Dana Wallet be this, like a replacement for these big names like Sparrow or something like Samurai Wallet, which is also a very popular uh, mobile wallets. They also have like a bunch of features that are for power users, but we're not really focusing on that. We want to create sort of this new, this domain of newbies, I guess.
Just to add something about one personal reflection about the unsophisticated like casual users, because I've what I mean is that it's not entirely their fault, and I'm adding this because I think it's at the core of what we're trying to do with Dana. They've been told since the beginning this is a beacon address, and when you hear an address, you automatically understand, okay, that's something that's kind of tied to an identity, and that's something that I can use and reuse many times, and I can give the same to many people, like an email address or postal address or whatever. And what I mean is that it's not entirely their fault that they're been misusing Bitcoin addresses, because we shouldn't have called that addresses in the first place. And actually, silent payments may be the right the right moment to start to use address, but the word address, because that's really an address now. But I don't know if we can undo the harm that has been done by beacon addresses, so-called beacon addresses, for the past 10 years or so.
Yeah. So Dana is also, we kind of think of it as like a newer generation wallet. So we try to really, well, that's also the reason why we basically started to work on a new wallet instead of trying to add silent payments on existing wallets, is because we think there's a bunch of things that we can do with silent payments that are not really, that would kind of, would be hacky if we try to add it to the older or other wallets. And because we're sort of starting with this clean slate, we can do all kinds of interesting things. So that's also why I think that this is a good has good interaction with the design community, because we can kind of just build the whole design around this new flow, around this new address type.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we have also been thinking on similar aspects for a few months now. But Signet, when you say like a newer generation wallet, so what comes to your mind? So what are some of the things that you are thinking about?
Yeah, so the main thing is what Sostine mentioned is just not. I would prefer there not to even be addresses. So right now we have, we sort of think of wallet addresses as like these little strings of text, but there's already, like, just like how what people do with Bolt 12, we're already kind of moving into this direction of when you send Bitcoin or when you send the Lightning payments, it sort of turns into this it's more like an email kind of experience. So that's kind of the main thing that I am thinking about.
Maybe of course, I'm just saying that's why we are here, and we want to talk more with the Beacon Design communities to exchange about that kind of ideas, because what I feel is that with silent payments, we may move into a paradigm, we can say that maybe, where it's more like contact based instead of address based. It means that you don't have a workflow of traditional beacon wallets, and you generate addresses and you survey addresses, or you just have contacts like phone contacts or whatever, and everything will be eventually maybe centered around that. But that's just an idea for now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in the comments, Christoph is also saying that like donations is also a very big use case for activists. So in addition to, like, say for example, some developers or some project team where they have their donation addresses, so that is one type of audience. But we also have a lot of activists who would like to get donations, and that's also a big use case, I think.
Yeah.
Hey there, yeah, I can speak to that a sec. I was part of the last Bitcoin for Activists workshop by the IHRF. I listened in as kind of to audit it and then give feedback on it. And they were using, what were they using? They're using Aqua Wallet primarily. Then they guided. So to introduce, like, this were newcomers, like big activists around the world. This was like basic introduction, and then they did these hands-on sessions with them. Used Aqua Wallet because there are cheaper transactions fees through Liquid, and also they have the stable coins, and exchanging to local currency is always a big deal for those activists because they need to use the money. But I know they're always struggling a little bit to find kind of the easiest tools, because those are activists on the ground. They need to do their political work and whatnot, and not be the tech pros. I know previously they used Mutiny Wallet, but that kind of went away. So I think that could be a good fit there. And they're real people with a real need. And I think in the workshop they showed how to use BTC Pay to accept donations. But then of course you need to install a server and all of this other stuff. So if you have like a 2-click solution for that use case. I'm not sure what some of the other user needs are, like the labeling for different places to get from. I don't know. They probably don't need to give receipts to people that donate or so, but there might be some other like user needs specifically for their use cases that could be discovered there. But yeah, just wanted to give some background on that one.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, initially I also envisioned the wallet to be useful for those kinds of more like activists to quickly receive payments. The contacts thing also, currently we don't have contacts built, and the reason for that is because we if we just wanted to have someone set up their wallet quickly, you could I don't know, a context is less important for that case, but indeed that's I think the activist use case is very good.
Maybe that's the time, because before silent payments, as Signet said, I was already interested in other payment code proposals, and obviously the one that got most traction before silent payments was B47, maybe better known as Paynim in Samurai implementation. And I think that they kind of failed spectacularly during the 2022 Canadian truckers protest, when they could have shined, but they didn't. And they could actually, BIP47, the way it works, it could have been an hazard to people that donate if it was widely used. And if you ask, for example, if you listen to Ruben, that's something that he cited as a motivation to design silent payments. silent payments indeed makes different trade-offs. It might be it's a little harder, I say, to implement than BIP47, but it has that one nice property, which is if for some reason law enforcement, like the police, sees an activist wallet, they won't be able to tell who donated to them. And with BIP47, they might, if they have a technical knowledge, or someone with a technical knowledge, they might be able to tell who donated to the wallet that they seize. So that's one big motivation indeed.
Yeah, I mean that is super awesome to hear about, and also I think another fact in the Canadian protest thing I think would be important, that like these people would be like very regular people, like these would not even be activists. Like activists, they have some chance of having a professional setup, but if it was like a very grassroots kind of a activity, and these users would not be technical at all, and they would require a very good and very easy user experience for them to be able to use that.
Yeah, BTC Sessions, or Ben Perrin, he was actually one of the people who ran that HRF workshop, and he helped organize the Bitcoin stuff for the Canadian truckers. And he did say they made some mistakes where sometimes, I think at the beginning, addresses were not being refreshed on whatever website they used, and then they ended up fixing it. But yeah, it was not easy, even for a pro.
Yeah. Yeah, of course, we'd have to see. I think there's some caveats that can be made here, because if we were to say like this, the way that we are currently envisioning Dana Wallet, if you have a sort of a situation where you really want to, where you kind of like really almost like your life is even being threatened, then there may even need to be like you need more sophisticated stuff than just having, I don't know, this like a way that we have now. For example, I think you would also need to have more like some sort of coin join logic, which for us, I think is a bit too sophisticated. But I do agree that I think there's definitely things that you can already have make like significant improvements by just having this sign-up payment thing.
Yeah, I would say that it sounds tempting with wallets to always go into like the super complex features, but a lot of times it really fails with basic stuff like localization. If some person in Africa or so, the wallet's not in their language, they don't speak English, then they're just not going to use it, or they won't feel comfortable, right? So I think it's good to cover the basics really well first, before going into these kind of things that are technically like fun and cool to design for and build maybe, but then there might be better to keep them a little bit further down the line, and maybe have some conversations with the target audience first before diving into those.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Signet, on that one, I had a question. So I think during my analysis of the silent payments features, and we thought that with silent payment labels, with the labels feature, like it might be easier to have a lot of information that can be automatically gathered, that can be used during coin selection, right? So if like a if like a user shares addresses, like different addresses, different the labeled addresses rather, and when the payments are received, they could be auto labeled, and then all of that information could be used during like automatic coin selection or something like that. Have you guys thought about something like that, and would you guys be interested in like implementing something like that? Because I think that if we are able to achieve something like that, like your wallet would be able to do coin selection and all of that, but like not really expose the users to that, and I think that might be super useful.
I think you could definitely use the labels, or it's definitely a good idea to have that or take those into account during coin selection. But the main issue, I think, with well, especially in the donation case, there's always going to be one address that you probably want to send out. So okay, this coin selection thing, it is useful if you have kind of private labels. So if you have like a contact list, for example, then every payment that I receive, for example, from, well, I don't know, if I am connected with an exchange or something, and I give them a separate label from this exchange, then you can kind of make sure that those coins are not mixed up with some other like public label, for example. But if you're going to do like a public fund or a donation address, there's not really a way, as far as I just can think right now. It's not that easy to do proper coin selection there. There's always going to be the issue that, like, if I have a donation address, I have to have one public address for that, and then some malignant person could like send a donation to me and then hope that I use that UTXO as sort of a like to do a spend, which also includes that UTXO that I know of, and then I could track the addresses from there. So I think it can help, but I don't think it's a completely like silver bullet.
All right.
So I think what's important to say is that it's more of a UX improvement really than a security feature like CoinJoins, right? So I think this is a distinction that should be made quite clear. It's just it makes it very easy to do like best practices and avoid address reuse. It's not to obfuscate kind of flows.
Yeah. All right. I also had the idea of just doing a little demonstration of what we have right now.
That would be cool.
Oh, that would be awesome. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to share my screen or share video. Oh, here it is. You guys see this?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, right now this is kind of what the wallet looks. It's a very simple screen. So yeah, it has just this basic main page. So the unique thing about sign-up payments is that you have to sort of scan this, or you cannot request. I guess I didn't really mention this during the introduction, but we have our own model. We don't build our model around Electrum. So most wallets, whenever you open a wallet, it requests all of the addresses and it kind of checks what your balance is. But that for sign-up payments, that works slightly differently. So that's why you have to do the scan thing. So I asked Sostin to send me some funds right before this call. So if I click on scan, it went very fast, but that's because this is on like a signet, or this is on a test network. So you can kind of see that I received some funds here. And I can try to now also send these funds. So we kind of have this manual coin selection thing right now, which we currently have because it's just the simplest approach. But probably if we want to give this to non-sophisticated users, we should probably do not to have them do manual coin selection.
Yeah, but just for convenience, we know that coin selection, that's great for power users, but I agree with Max, what Max said. Eventually, we will need like some kind of automatic coin selection, and I have a few ideas about that, but then we'll talk about that later.
Yeah, and also this is the add recipient screen. So here you can add a recipient. In our case, we actually have support for BIP 353. So that is the address thing. So here I'm going to send to div. I'm going to send these funds to this email address like thing. Yeah, and then put in a fee rate. So this is all very similar to, I guess, what the most normal wallets look like. And then here you have this transaction ID. And then here you can see in the history, I received these coins. Again, this is all very, not very pretty, but obviously it was the minimally, I guess, showcase that it actually works. And here you can see I sent 20,000 to this recipient, which is also a sign-up payment address. So yeah, those are just the small demonstration, I guess, of what the wallet can do right now. Right now we don't have labels, so we just have this simple receive address. This is the address that I sent to Sostine. But obviously you can have labels, or you can have contacts to make that experience better.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys kind of have a working application already. So I think that's awesome, actually.
Yeah, it does work. So it also works on mainnet. The main reason that the only thing that really is sort of missing, well, there's a few things that are still missing. One of them is that for mainnet, one very useful, almost pretty much required feature is cut through, and we kind of we switched some of the logic data, or the stuff. We switched some backend stuff. So we used to have cut through, but we kind of don't have it right now. And cut through is a way to basically improve the scanning with a few orders of magnitude. So it is pretty much required for mainnet, but technically speaking, it can already kind of run. But yeah, the interface is just still very simple, as you can see.
Yeah, I think it looks awesome, and I'm impressed that you guys already support BIP 353, like you said that. So I mean, I think that's awesome, because like while you were trying to send, I think you entered like a lightning address. I'm not sure what to call it. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I also don't really know what the name for it, but it's an email address kind of like destination. So yeah, and that is actually very, very, for sign-up payments, it's actually very easy to add that. It was like 4 lines of code.
Awesome. Yeah. So, Signet, Sostin, like, what are you thinking in terms of like the next things that you would like to do, and especially with the Bitcoin design team, what's the next step that you guys are thinking of?
Yeah. So the main thing that we, I guess, would like from the design community is there's a bunch of, as I mentioned, this is sort of we consider it kind of a next generation wallet. So there's a bunch of things, or a bunch of like new flows that I think we can really take advantage of. But right now, partially because we don't really, we're just developing it. We don't really know yet what the things are going to be what we're going to run into. So our idea was to have kind of semi-regular meetings, and then we can have kind of open questions to the design community about things that we are struggling with. So one thing that we kind of noticed also when people were trying out the wallet, one of the people from Discord, they mentioned that they tried to import the seed phrase from Dana wallet. They tried to import that into Sparrow, and that didn't work because of it's long. It's a long story why it doesn't work. But like the seed phrase, you cannot really just import it into other wallets like you would probably expect from some normal wallet. So we kind of we're thinking about how we should do backups, and if we should even be doing seed phrase backups in the first place, because there's a bunch of other, I guess that is sort of an open question. Like, should we even really be doing? Should we like completely focus just on having people back up the wallet as a file and just ignore the seed phrase thing?
I mean that we need this kind, for example, the conversation that we had on Discord, that's like really important for us, because we both of us, we didn't even think one second, oh, we could take the seed and put it in Sparrow. But for us it was obvious, but not for everyone. And that's actually that's great. We need that kind of feedback. That's the first thing, I think.
Yeah, so Christoph asked what the benefit is of having a file. So yeah, the main benefit, indeed, especially for sign-up payments, is that there's a whole bunch of metadata that you need, indeed. Like contacts are going, if we're going to add contacts, that's a good thing to put in there. Labels are definitely something you need to back up. But there's other kinds of things that, like a seed phrase is pretty limited in what it actually stores. And it just happens to be that like there's a very commonly used derivation path that wallets tend to use. But like the derivation path, for example, that is not stored, you cannot like retrieve that from just a seed phrase. So it's kind of a coincidence that it happens to be very compatible with a bunch of other wallets, and that you can take your seed phrase from one wallet to the next. But it is kind of limited in some sense. And I think there's in general, seed phrases are very nice. I think they're very like, they have a good like the concept is extremely cool, that you can just remember these words. Well, you shouldn't remember the words probably, but that they're just words and you save these words. They're very easy to reason about, I guess. But maybe I don't know if I don't know if they're best practice, because like Bitcoin Core, for example, they don't use seed phrases, and I think they don't use it. Well, I don't know too much of their discussion, but they're sort of critical of using seed phrases. So yeah, maybe we also shouldn't.
Computer that broadcasts templates, right? Even with the shortened V2, in this case, the template broadcast.
I think someone has their mic turned on. Obi, I think you have your mic turned on. Are you speaking?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very sorry.
Okay,
oh yeah, it's all right. Yeah, no worries.
So anyway, that's like that's one of those things where we don't know the answer. Maybe the seed phrases are a perfectly fine way of doing it, but the reason, like in this case, someone saw the seed phrase and they assumed that, oh, this is something I can put into any other wallet, like Sparrow, and then I will see my addresses. But that's not really the case.
Yeah, so I think one question I had on that scenario, Signet, like, did it have something to do with the wallet not being able to like recognize, or being able to like the user not being able to tell the other wallet that this is a silent payments wallet, or like, is there like a user facing issue, or like a technical issue, you would say?
I think it is technical, because for sign-up payment specifically, the labels are just as important as the seed phrase. So in this case, if Sparrow would have known that this was a sign-up payment, a seed phrase with a sign-up payment wallet attached, then technically that person could recover their funds in Sparrow, or could see their addresses. But even that is not true for like that just happens to be the case because we don't have labels right now. But if we did have labels as well, then they wouldn't be able to see those labels. So I think we kind of need to pretty much store other things beside the seed phrase data in a backup.
Actually, about that specific issue, I think that it's not really specific to silent payments, because regular like HD wallets, they have that derivation path stuff, and in my experience, I don't know about other people here, but in my experience, I already had like noobs or people that weren't technical freaking out because they had their seed and then they put it in the wallet and for some or another wallet, and for some reasons the derivation path is not the same, and they don't see their money or the whole of their money, or they see a part of their money because they have like a gap, the concept of gap limits, and they don't understand that, and maybe they have a huge gap in addresses, and then some part of their money don't show up. What I mean is that the seed itself, it's not a silent payment specific problem. In itself, it's not enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that is why you guys are like more inclined towards having like a backup file sort of a thing. Because I mean, honestly, you guys are right. Like Bitcoin Core does not even support seed phrases. So,
Yeah.
like, okay.
That is kind of what we're, that is we're not like confident about this, but that is kind of the direction that we're thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, there was one more thing that I wanted to mention that we're also looking for, which is not really Bitcoin design community specific, but we also are just in general interested in looking for open source contributors that are interested in working on the wallet. So if people, or even people that hear the recording, like if people are interested in working out, right now both of us are doing this in our free time, so we have, I think, a pretty good. I think that the project is very nice, but sometimes we're not able to give it all the the labor that it deserves. So yeah, if other people want to help out, then please let us know. We also have a Signal group that we set up for people that want to test out the wallet. I'm gonna quickly let me post the link to the Signal group in the chat. Yeah, I'll also post this in the Discord for the Bitcoin design community. So if people want to test it out, please join us.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I mean, I hope that people see this and they at least test it out, and they give you some feedback. And for that, like they like have to be able to like try it out. And so I think, how can they get the application right now, Signet?
Yeah. So the first, Dana Wallet is built in Flutter, and Flutter targets a pretty wide range of targets. So you can run Dana Wallet on a PC. You can also run it on your phone. But for people that want to try it out quickly, we have a first release on GitHub, and you can download the APK. So that is on Android. On the Android device, you can install the APK for the first release. If you want to try it out on a different thing, like on your whatever Linux or Mac OS, then you would have to probably build it yourself. And that requires some extra effort. I don't actually have. I have not built it. The only thing that I have built it for are Linux and Android, because those are the devices that I use. But technically, they should be able to. Other platforms are supported as well. So if you want to have a quick solution, you can download the Android APK on GitHub.
Yeah, awesome. I mean, I did try it out. I think last week, after we had a chat, I like downloaded it on a spare Android phone that I had, and I tried it out. And I think like the design, honestly, I think has changed even since then. So I'm actually pretty excited about that. But yeah, it was a super easy process for me to go to GitHub and then go to the releases section and just like download the APK. So I know there are like 6-7 people on the call. If you guys want to try it out, I think it's super easy to do actually.
All right.
Yeah. Christoph, I think are there any questions, or are there any like obvious points of conversation that I'm missing right now? Because this is like the project exploration call. What else could we talk about?
Yeah, I think a good thing to think about is if you want a designer to contribute, then how could that work? Most designers have a hard time, including myself, building stuff from source and diving into some of the more technical things. There's also a lot of times kind of a sequence in which design kind of happens. Sometimes it's about something that happens a lot of time at the beginning is like a logo and a website, kind of capture the general direction and the feeling of like what this thing should be like. A lot of times there's something about establishing UI direction. So the buttons, the navigation, the modals, all these little things. And then that's kind of a foundational, that's like the toolbox to work with for then to kind of improving all the individual screens and the user flows, right? Then you can dive into that, and then you're really thinking about how people move through the application, like from the first time they hear about it, they see it, they might get interested on the website or the GitHub repo to their first use, and then through their regular use, and then you're kind of starting to optimize the experience as a whole. But it is not easy to get designers to come into projects, and just kind of, there's some designers that are comfortable, many are not. So just finding a right way to have someone, to be open and inviting, and for people to come in and chip in on that side. That's something to think about.
I was thinking about
you're gonna do it?
Sorry.
Just gonna throw it out to Yashraj. You gonna do it? You gonna design this thing?
Yeah, sign me up.
Deal.
I'm right. Yeah. Let's jump in and design this thing, and get it done. But yeah, Michael, you were also saying something.
Yeah, I was thinking about this backup, the clash of backups, right? Because it seems that there is no standard of, or that current standards are not kind of good enough with the seed phrase for backing up the wallet, and so we probably need to think about as well on a more broader level how it actually, or what would a better way be. Maybe it can even be two-tiered, like it's like the default way to back it up is like this file or some other format, and then there might be just like the most basic stuff where you basically lose most of the metadata, but you can still access your funds through a seed phrase, but that would also require the other wallets to recognize this. So, or there might need to be a mapping to a regular seed phrase for that kind of emergency backup. So I think that's going to be probably a critical part until the other wallets catch up, right? That's just one thing that was running through my head.
Yeah, the two-tiered things. I think that's a pretty good idea. I think also Moon Wallet used to have something like that, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was I was just about to say that. Hey, like Moon Wallet also has you do like a emergency kit process, and then the result is that you, I think, download the some file, and I think that's the way they do it. And a lot of people use that wallet, though I'm not sure if they do the backup file, and like I'm not sure about that, but I think backup file is not very new. We do have a few wallets already that do that.
Yeah, I think most mobile wallets, they just store something in iCloud or the Google, whatever cloud drive thing, whatever applications can push stuff to. And especially Lightning, because they need to have all this channel data and backups and things. And I think Moon has two things. I think they put stuff into your cloud storage, but then you get this PDF that's the recovery kit, and I think you need an extra code to recover. And they have this email option as well. But yeah, there are very good reasons to have a file with stuff somewhere, right? Whether it's for recovery or descriptions of transactions or labels and other things. There's just user data accumulates, and it's important for people to have that so they can have like, otherwise like what's on the blockchain is just not very human readable, right? You don't know what the transaction was for or that you made a year ago. You need those labels and descriptions and things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we have like 10 more minutes. Anything else you guys would like to just talk about, or even questions or thoughts, anything like that?
I think, I guess in the next, one of the next goals that we have is building the backups, because I think that is, if we want to do, we're sort of thinking about all the things that we have to do in order to get like an actual first release out on the Google Play Store or in the Apple, or whatever it's called, the Apple Store.
Mm-hmm.
And I think backups is very important. I'm sure there are a bunch of other features that we should think about that are important, but
Actually, I have one question to everyone here. Do you think that the workflow with like the spending workflow that you saw with manual coin selection, do you think that's like a big no for first release, or is it manageable, or what? Somewhere in between. What do you think?
Well, generally it adds friction, right? And coin selection is something that can help you with privacy and with transaction, with kind of managing costs, transaction costs. But you have to know what you're doing. You have to know what UTXOs are, what coin. So it introduces a lot of concepts, and judging by what you mentioned in the beginning, that you want this to be kind of a donations thing, an easy to use thing where you actually don't want to expose users to too much technicality. I'd probably try to do manual to offer manual coin selection as an option, like an advanced option, if at all, at least in the beginning, right? It's that's my 2 cents.
Okay, so that's it seems that everyone think it's kind of high priority for first release to have some kind of automatic. Yeah.
Yeah, as just wanted to throw in here that with the Bitcoin Core app, we're also working on a lot of this similar stuff. Maybe you could borrow some UI patterns or look at them and ignore them if you'd like. So something that we do is and we're also kind of planning for silent payments to be in there. There are some designs for it. So we have very simple form, if you can see in my background, and we have these 3 little dots here in the corner. And that's where you basically enable all the complex stuff. So you can enable batching, custom fee bumping, including fee amount, enable coin selection. Right? So it's all this extra stuff. And then if you enable all of this extra stuff, your form actually gets quite complex, right? But then the idea there is that it's always very easily accessible, all this extra stuff. And the form gets more complex, but the user chose intentionally, like, I want this complexity, I know what I'm doing, right? They're not overwhelmed with all this stuff from the beginning, but they kind of make their way there. So there's probably some stuff, maybe if you want to take a look at it. There are some designs in here with silent payments, which I think we called reusable address, but I'm not quite sure where they are.
Yeah, but I think either way, I think, Christoph, because you mentioned this point, I think another thing that comes to mind is that the Bitcoin design guide is full of things that we can take a look at and directly borrow, because we are doing some new things, but then at the same time we are not like reinventing the wheel. And the Bitcoin design guide already has a lot of very high quality recommendations, so we could take also something take also so many things from that and use it in like some of these new wallet flows that Signet was talking about.
Yes.
And yeah, and plus I think, Christoph, you just got the static address page in the background.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
an
and that's
interesting thing.
just exploratory, right? Trying
Okay.
to avoid
Yeah.
any technical terms and just ask people like, do you want to use this once or do you want to use it multiple times? Right? Making it more intent focused rather than putting the technical terms up front. So I wouldn't consider this stuff final. There's just a lot of different explorations here in this design file that I'm looking at. But stuff, stuff to think about.
Yeah, no, this is all exciting stuff, especially to somebody like me who's been like really deep into silent payments last 3-4 months. And I think I agree with like Signet and Sustain that like we have a lot of opportunities to like do the newer generation wallet thing here. So I'm pretty excited about it. But I think we only have 2 minutes left. And Signet, I think you indicated that you were also interested in doing like regular calls. So like, how regular would you like to do these calls? And we could have these calls in public, just like this, and we could record or not record them. That is up to us. But like, I think Christoph calls it like open design, and I love doing something like that for sure. So how often would you like to do something like that?
Yeah, so Sin and I were talking about doing one every 2 weeks or something. It kind of completely depends on how much we get done in those 2 weeks. Which is currently, that's kind of the issue, is that we're it's a bit inconsistent how much time we have to work on something. So sometimes we don't, sometimes a lot of stuff gets done within a couple of days, and sometimes not at all. But
Yeah,
I think 2 weeks is a good.
But maybe 2 weeks as like a basic. For now, let's start with that and see how it goes.
yeah, we could always shoot for like a weekly call and then like skip a call if we have to. I think another advantage like you guys have is that like you have a lot of the engineering pieces working already, and then design is something that is like required, that is like severely, it's not there right now, right? And so a lot of the design explorations and all of that can go on even while you guys are busy doing something else, right? We could always jump on a call and discuss design. And I think that can also be something that is super useful.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah, but like bi-weekly calls is what you guys are thinking right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't mind doing the weeklies. Also sounds good. But I think right now weekly, Sostin and I currently kind of do these. Also do weekly calls with ourselves, and sometimes we notice that there's not much that we have to discuss, which is why we were thinking of 2 weeks. But indeed, if it's like design stuff that goes in parallel, then maybe weekly is also fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think like right now, like based on what you guys are saying, it seems like we could start with a bi-weekly, and then if we gain momentum and a lot of things are happening all the time, we can always do weekly calls as well. But we can start right now with a bi-weekly call. I'd be happy to arrange and set up the next call, and like in the next 2 weeks. So that would be what, like 2 weeks from now, and then we can jump on that call and discuss all all these things that basically we just talked about. And since the call is in the open. I guess everyone can join in. Anybody who's interested can join in, and I think that sounds like a good path forward to me.
Yes, sounds good to me as well.
Agree.
Awesome. Yeah. Something. Sostin, you were saying something.
I was just saying agree.
Okay. Yeah. That is important, right? That is important. Yeah. Awesome. All right. So if nobody has any more thoughts or questions, I think we can maybe wrap up this call, and I can set up the call 2 weeks after now.
And have any
Mhm.
questions?
Thanks.
All right. Yeah.
Nice.
Awesome. Maybe stop recording. I think.
Will do.
Thanks everyone for joining in. We are going to stop recording now.